Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Step into the Portal. My name is the Brandt.
And I'm Kathy.
And we are here live in our own homes, ready to sleep in our own beds, which I guess we did last night, but
Yeah.
still, we have been in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is not very far from us, Kath.
It's true.
Yeah, it's like Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, but
it feels
they're
far
all so smart
when you're in traffic on the New Jersey Turnpike.
Yeah.
But it wasn't actually bad this time.
No, we didn't hit traffic, so that was interesting both ways. We're totally fine. The one night we left later than anticipated, so we left at like 7, so we cruised right through, and I would say even with stopping, it was basically 4 hours door to door, right?
Yeah.
And then the way back, we hit like 20 minutes on the George Washington Bridge, which is the bridge that goes from New Jersey over into Manhattan. And I don't know, it didn't seem that bad to me. Larry was driving and said it was a little rough, but
Yeah.
I think he was a little tired.
We're tired. Yeah.
Coming home. So, hello. I don't see too many people watching right now, but if you are joining us, feel free to say hello in the chat. And if you have questions, this is a live play and chat. I didn't want to put unboxing because I don't want to unbox all these games. And in fact, I have unboxed all these games already. So, but we'll go through the games that we got and see what Kathy knows that I got and what Kathy doesn't know that I got, because that seems to be part of it too. But most of these, I think all but one, were given to us. So I think Flamecraft is the only one that we purchased here.
Correct.
So these are review copies for the channel to go through. So there's that. Hey, Jack, and hello, Barambe. Thanks for joining us. Is our sound good? It's starting to like redline on mine. I'm going to turn us down and see where we're at. I also wonder if they're hearing this heater. But it's cold in the attic.
I
You
have
can see
a
Kathy has the blanket around her.
It's so cold.
I am drinking a cold soda, and we started early, and I could have given you time to make a warm drink. Do you want to make a warm drink?
It's fine.
You don't want to go downstairs and come back up, do you?
It's hard. It's a lot of stairs.
Okay.
I'm good.
I mean, you could entertain the audience.
It's okay.
Nice. All right, so let's just talk through PAX Unplugged. So first, if people don't know, PAX Unplugged is a convention that takes place in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Philadelphia Convention Center once a year. It is typically like the first weekend. It's in December is what it is. I'm still waiting for it to snow. It was like cold, then it was like kind of cold.
It was never super cold.
Yeah, I mean, New England cold, whatever. It wasn't, if it was 40 in the 40s, a lot of people would consider that cold, but for us it's winter, and honestly it could be 20, so 40 is kind of double that. Perfect, thanks for letting us know about the sound. So it's somewhere in there. I'm always waiting for it to snow. Day 2, it rained, and I think it was over 60 degrees, and it was humid. Like, by the time we got in the convention center, it was twice as many people.
Yeah.
And it was boiling, and I walked through drizzle because I went up early in the morning, but you guys walked up kind of mid-morning.
I went up later, and it was very wet.
Yeah, and smacked into all that. So,
Yeah.
So it's a 3-day convention, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There's publishers. It's unplugged because PAX does a video game conventions, and this is solely focused on board games. So there's no plugs, I guess. But it's a really cool con. It's like a good size mix of publishers and booths you can go to, kind of learn to play areas and open play area.
Yeah.
I imagine. Oh, and sorry, and we also went with our friends Larry and Silas. Larry, who you've seen on the channel. Silas, who you would not have seen on the channel. Brian could not make it this year. He stayed home, our store owner, so he wasn't with us, but normally he would go. I'd imagine the one major complaint is that all of that stuff is in one giant hall, and it's very loud.
Yeah. I don't have a lot to compare it to because I haven't really been to other conventions. I went to Dice Tower East.
Super different. That's a playing convention.
That was different.
Yeah.
I don't tend to like conventions.
What? Why would you say that?
I don't like noise and people. And board games.
Whatever made you go to a convention then?
You.
Yeah, but
I
think the overall experience of the convention weekend you tend to enjoy, but there are moments in the convention hall that are unenjoyable.
Yeah.
You liked when you did the paint and take that year.
I did do that.
And that probably made you feel less like there was 1,000 people around.
Yes.
10,
I don't
000,
like
30,000.
crowds are very anxiety producing for me.
Sure.
And I found it difficult, especially this year. Maybe nobody likes people, right? Brandt likes people.
I like people a lot. Ask Kathy how many people I talk to. The answer is all of them.
Whenever we go to a convention, I always tell him I will not walk around.
You did the last hour.
I did the last hour, but mostly I will not walk around with him because he'll stop and talk to everybody.
It's true.
And we don't get anywhere.
And then Kathy would be like, who's that? And I'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, you know them really well? Oh, no, I just met them.
That's true.
Yeah, but yeah, I'd go to Gen Con and PAX. I was going to Dice Tower East for a while.
Yeah.
The Con of Heroes. Brian and Larry go to Gamma. So, like, there's a lot of places where we see a lot of people, so we get to know them. That repetition of seeing people 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah.
Over 8 years now.
And I find it difficult to learn, like a simple game I could play in the hall, but a game that's more complicated I find difficult to learn with the noise and chaos happening around me. So, yeah, we had one game that the first turn, I was like, I don't like this game at all.
Yeah, that was funny.
And I think it was mostly just because it was, like, a kind of complicated game. It was a lot to, like, learn at once, and I just couldn't focus on it with all the...
Yeah, one of the big things I noticed is that we're all getting old. We were so tired at night. So I was actually the youngest person of the four of us.
True.
And at 10 o'clock, back at our place, people are just passing out. They're just exhausted at 10 o'clock. Now, granted, a lot of people were up earlier or ready to go or whatever, so like that was part of it. But
and
just the walking,
had long weeks.
Yeah, and people we went with had some long weeks. So, but yeah, just that walking. We had to walk about a mile. And it was that distance that was like, this is fine, and also this is a lot of walking, right? Like a mile in the city, so you're thinking about like a big city. Philadelphia is millions of people, so you're stopping at every corner, you're stopping at the lights, you're watching out for things, you're making sure this is the right. There's enough you're tracking. It's not like walking 4 times around the high school track. Right.
And then you get there, and it's not like you go in and sit down. You're like go in, and then you walk all the way through the convention center, which is huge.
Yeah, actually, security is probably the biggest complaint.
You're walking all over the hall.
Right. So yeah, sitting is the least common thing you're doing.
Sure.
And then even when you finally do sit, unless it was that first look area where you kind of had nice tables and nice chairs, like we sat in that lounge area where you're like leaning over a table that's, knee height and playing a game or whatever.
Yeah.
So that was a little different. But actually, now that you say it, I think security is probably, like, it was just awkward. Like, there should have just been security every time you came in. And it shouldn't have been every time you go in and out to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that was weird. Security
Which
was in
there were bathrooms in there.
That was different this year than other years.
Because there was 2 conventions.
Right.
And the other one didn't have security.
Oh, yeah, you're right. So it was in a weird place. Well, the other one was, like, history teachers. It seemed a lot smaller.
No, the other one was smaller. Like you said, history teachers. They were unmasked. We were masked. There was a lot of interesting differentials, like if you go out in the hallway versus if you're in the convention area. Which all that was fine. I didn't have a problem with there being security or being like all that made sense. It became an inconvenience at some point.
Yeah, just having to go through it.
Going through all that. So cool. So we got there Thursday night late. Friday we went up to the convention. We kind of toured around the hall and all those kind of things. I'm just giving the broad overview. We did the first look area, which is my favorite. So PAX brings a whole bunch of games from the Essen Spiel convention in October, and they get those games and they get them laid out and they get people to teach them, which is awesome. So we got this guy Kevin who taught us Revive, which was really good for them to teach us. And so that area is really neat. I'm trying to remember. There wasn't too much on that day. That was the majority of what we were trying to do. And then we hung out a little bit later there, but then we went back to our place. On the way back, we stopped and got poke at that place, and then we went back and played Frosthaven. But we only got through half because people were kind of...
Yeah, people were falling asleep between their turns.
Falling asleep. So then Saturday morning, I got up early, went and played Marvel Champions with Roy Candidate from Dice Tower and Nelson from Nelson All Over, who also plays Champions. So we got a game in early before the convention. And then you and I worked the Dice Tower booth for a couple... Sorry, yeah. You worked the Dice Tower booth. I was at the Dice Tower booth talking. I had it was an official meeting, but it was an unofficial setting with Tom Vassell at the Dice Tower, and he's like, just come walk with me. That's how we'll have a meeting. So we just walked away from the booth.
I actually love working a booth at a convention because I feel much better when I have a job.
Right.
Instead of just like wandering around.
Yeah, so people come over and they buy promos for the Dice Tower. They buy play mats, get them signed by people. If people don't know, Dice Tower is a very large board gaming channel. They do reviews and playthroughs and conversations, and top 10 lists are probably their most famous thing. So Tom Vassell's kind of the head of that, and then Eric Summer actually lives in Connecticut with us. He does a bunch of stuff on that channel too. So we drove all the way to Pennsylvania just to say hi to Eric, who lives 20 minutes from the store. But that was good. And then we ended up staying later. We stayed with the guys who designed this Kapow game. We'll show you. And we hung out with them, and I mostly had conversations. Larry and Silas were playing games with them. You were kind of getting a little time to yourself, reading and just sitting, right? Which was good. And played Carl's game that he's designing. I got a chance to do that, which was neat. It's not done, so I'm not going to say much, which I probably shouldn't say anything here. But I got to play one of his games. That was cool. And then we headed back, and we finished Frosthaven.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
We
This feels.
Masterword
is so good. It's the best game to travel with. Masterword is like there's one person who knows the answer, and there's a clue, and then the other people are trying to guess it by like narrowing it down by category. So if it was like dog, the clue might be animal, and then you're making guesses of like, is it a mammal? Is it a this? And then they basically like mastermind. They give you thumbs up to say these are the number of guesses that are the correct categories, right? So like, yes, it's hairy. Yes, it's a mammal. Like they tell you those things, and you're working your way through. But it's all in the experience, not the structure of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the talking through all that. Yeah, I don't know. This doesn't seem to... Then Sunday we left pretty early. We got up, we packed everything, we went back to the convention. I don't really feel like there's a lot of interesting things. The big thing I didn't say is Friday I took a lot of meetings. So I did a lot of meetings that day in the morning. I tried to knock all those out. Like meetings and playing Champions I tried to do every day before noon, so then we could just hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And went out. Oh, we went to the Reading Terminal Market, and we got shawarma, and it was amazing.
And it was so good we went back the next day.
We went twice for shawarma, so that was really cool. So there was that. Yeah, so I don't know if people have any questions or anything who are watching about the convention, or ones maybe conventions that you go to in general. Not in general. Conventions you go to and what you enjoy about them. You know, these bigger conventions, there's a lot of shopping associated with it. There's a lot of networking. You know, if you're doing... I don't know, when they say you're in the industry, which I guess doing content creation puts us in the industry on that front, right? So there was that. So I was taking meetings with publishers to see some of the new games and whatnot and other things like that. Which games are you going to play, review first? So I don't know. I made a schedule and then promptly left it downstairs.
That's true.
So I was learning this One Deck Galaxy game.
We should show them all the games that we got.
Yeah, no, I will.
And then, yeah.
So I'm thinking I'm going to try to play this one. Probably the big thing is Thursday when we're going to do a live play of Frosthaven. I'm crossing my fingers hoping all the things work out, because there's like 9 things that are happening between now and then that we need to work out. But Kathy and I should be here live probably lunchtime. Is what I'm thinking.
I think so.
Stay tuned to the channel. You'll see that posted. We'll put up some videos for Frosthaven. We've started. So we'll put up some of our initial videos, then we'll play a game live. For that. They did not sell. Brombay's asking about Frosthaven. They did not sell out of Frosthaven. They were selling it for $250, which is the retail price. And there was a decent number, although I think it was like 50 stacked up. But they were selling as I went over there. I actually went over and had a pretty long conversation with Isaac. The plan is for me to work the Cephalofair booth at Gen Con, so I was doing that. And then I hadn't seen Isaac since last PAX Unplugged because he had a kid. And so he did not do the convention circuit this year, but came to PAX Unplugged because they announced the role-playing game. The Gloomhaven role-playing game is happening, which Ryan Schoon, who you've seen on the channel playing Marvel Champions with me, I didn't realize he's working on that project. Ryan wanted me to be careful of saying he designed the role-playing game. He's on the team that designed the game. But it sounds like he was a lead on that. So
That's awesome.
he did a really good job. And Ryan's become a friend. You met Ryan because he came over and brought us Forum Trajanum when we were playing. That was him. So there was that. But Frosthaven was a huge hit. They had the booth. And we didn't get the things. We were going to get the things to wear. We had them from last year. But it was like we were getting exhausted and carrying a lot of stuff. And it was hard because they said, oh, you could take a full stack. They were making those like headbands for each of the different factions or races or whatever in Frosthaven. And Chris over there, who was really nice. We talked to him for a long time.
Yeah.
Actually, that same amount of time, like 30 minutes.
It's long, yeah.
Yeah, I talked to Isaac similar,
wow.
going through all the things. So that was definitely a popular booth to be at. But Chris was saying, like, hey, you can take those. And we were going to wear them, but then it was just a lot more to transport home in an already pretty full car and carry those a mile. So, but that was neat to see so many people doing that.
Do you know about the role-playing game?
So it is not Dungeons & Dragons at all. It is true to Gloomhaven.
There's no dice.
There's no dice. You play 2 cards, and then you pick the top and bottom half of each card. So it's very akin to Gloomhaven, but instead of then having a board and pieces and all that laid out, you have a GM, a Gloom Master, who's running the game. So the role-playing gameplay harkens back to the board game gameplay. It's playing in that same pick initiative, pick what actions you want to do on a set of cards. Because I imagine those cards are going to be very close in structure to the actual cards in the decks of the characters. Because if you think about it, one of the things they have to do is each of those classes has to feel like they have to have asymmetric characters, right? Which role-playing games definitely do, but like they're pretty wonky in Gloomhaven and Frosthaven. Like they're not just, oh, this one wears a lot of armor and uses a sword, right? Like they're pretty interesting. The world building is already there, which is awesome. So
yes, a Gloom Master.
Yeah. No, but it definitely looks different. Kathy was saying how she wanted to use dice, and I was like, oh, we should play, a role-playing game. And then, they're announcing the Gloomhaven role-playing game.
And there are no dice.
And then there's no dice in it. So.
That's okay.
But I'll still give it a try. I'd actually love to do it. I'd love to, maybe there's a channel or something, Cephalofair is going to jump on there and have somebody who's running it and be one of the people playing it, even if it was over video. I would do that.
That would be fun.
I think that would be fine and neat to do. So, obviously the dice chucking is a big part, but it makes sense in Gloomhaven to not include that. That's kind of something that I did. So, anyway, this was the book, and I'm not going to go through the book because we generally found it not super useful. I mean, whatever. It had announcements about events and whatnot, but I know Kathy was particularly frustrated that the map did not tell her where like the 2 or 3 things she was looking for actually were, but they provided us with the book so you can see that. And I told Kathy we'd be about an hour, so we should get to the part where we actually show the games to people. I think she's ready. I'll show one, you show one, Kath?
Okay.
Does that sound good?
I guess so. I don't even know what I have over here. So.
Well, why don't you pick a game?
What am I supposed to do?
Just put it out here.
Here's a game.
Nope, yeah, we're that way. Perfect.
Hero, Tales of the Tome.
Cool, so Larry was really excited about this game. I went over and they gave us a copy here. It's got really cool wooden components here. I know I said I wouldn't open everything up.
That's fine.
But this, I got a chance to play one time and they were playing it again. But essentially what happens is you have characters and it's a dueling game. But this game isn't really a 2-player dueling game. So it'll work at 2, but it's really a multiplayer wizard dueling game.
Oh, really?
I guess that's not fair. The company probably wouldn't want me to say it's not 2-player, but I just don't want people to think like, oh, this is Magic the Gathering in a box.
Got it.
Like this is trying to be multiplayer. So you're drawing all these cards that are common, and then every round, everybody levels up. So you're level 1, then level 2, whatever the rounds are, and you have health, and you're trying to eliminate it, and you get mana that you can use for that round, so you can cast spells off turns or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you draw from a common deck, and then whatever your level is, you have that many points to play cards for like weapons and items and companions. So here's a Sunhide, and this will attack for 2, and it has 8 health, and you can use these to block and stuff. So Wizard dueling game. Honestly, these are a dime a dozen, and I played this one, and it was a standout.
Yeah,
it was fun. It wasn't
Larry
like
loved this.
Yeah, he kept playing this with everybody, and it really was good. The production is really nice on that. So that is something that to get on the channel, I really want to get a 3-player game of. So most likely do something from the store. Brian, Larry, and I would be my guess on that one. So that is Heroes. So thank you to them. I actually should mention the companies, and I don't know who it is. Long Pack. No. Long Pack Games is like they help to publish. And the rulebook is buried in there, so unfortunately, I won't get that to them. But you can go to talesoftheTome.com and check this game out. 2 to 5 players, 30 minutes. Pretty neat. All right, we got 2 from Button Shy. So if you've never seen Button Shy, these are wallet games. They are amazing. Sorry, I should say 80% of them are amazing, for whatever that means. That's just a rough number. There's a few that have fallen flat. So I finally read their website. They produce 1 game a month, 12 games a year.
Oh, wow.
They are 18-card wallet games. So you open this up. You get a rule book. You get 18 cards, and sometimes you get some like minor tokens or extra set of rules or whatever it is. This game, I have no idea if this is going to be good, but this is an 18-card Pirate Legacy game. It has stickers in here.
Yep. The
one place it cheats its own system, which is not a cheat, is you have to scan a thing to go to a website to get the campaign rules.
Oh, okay.
Not rules, but like structure. Like it'll walk you through because it has a picture for each one. If I got a chance to do this, I would put that up on the camera and then be able to switch back and forth. Like not on the camera, on the computer.
Yeah.
And then switch back and forth. So that's technology that I'm a little slow with, but I know it's super doable and I can do it here. So I might try to do that. It is like if you play with 1 person, you control 2 characters. If you play with 2 people, you control 2 characters. But as all sorts of things unlock, you stick stickers on there. It's a full Legacy game.
If you play with 1 person, you control 2 characters. If you play with 2 people, you control 1
character each.
You said 2 characters.
Oh, 1 character each.
Clarifying.
So it's kind of the same 1 and 2, and it doesn't play 3 and 4. That's sometimes part of the structure of their games. So, and then Battle Crest is a straight up like dueling fighting game. I didn't realize there was an expansion to this. I didn't get the expansion, but Larry did. I saw BJ at Board Game Gumbo was playing this and enjoying it, so I picked this one up because of that.
Cool.
And whatnot. So I think that's another dueling style game, but I had heard good things from him. He is a friend, and I tend to listen to his recommendations and enjoy the same things. So there is that. What do you got?
Here's this Mythic Mischief.
Nice.
And it has 3, the base game, and 3 expansions.
Yeah. So we got Witches, Trolls, and Ghosts.
Yep.
You can stack them up next to it here. So.
These we didn't even take the plastic off. But
That's okay. Put this one on top then. Just put them right here. So this is I call this an abstract game. It says 1 to 4 players. It has a solo mode, 2-player, 3 and 4 players are teams. So in 3-player mode, it's like 2v1, and the person playing 1 gets bonuses. In 4-player, you just split. So it's like you each bring a faction, but you only play 2 of your 3 models, and you're kind of limited in your scoring points together. It's kind of a silly theme. It's like you're in a school, and you're in this library. You're trying to get the tome keeper to catch, who's like the librarian, to catch the other players. Mm-hmm. And then you can move the bookshelves around. Yeah. Every faction is asymmetric, so they play a little bit different and work a little bit differently. And so there's 4 factions in the box. Then they gave us the 3 extra factions. And I talked to Austin. I think he said they haven't announced the 3 other factions, but there are 3 other factions on the way. That doesn't feel like a huge, like, oh. Yeah. So hopefully I'm saying that correct.
Well, and it's pretty cool. They all have, they've all got minis and different, seems like there's different bookshelves.
Brombe said he actually got it at Gen Con. I met Brombe at Gen Con.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, this one
nice
comes with them.
Boards.
Yeah, it's really nice production level. Like, and these minis ironically are gray, but they're all colored to their faction, so they're not all gray minis. And you're like collecting the tomes, and you get little upgrades on your actions, and you have wee little dice.
I love it when there's designated storage.
So yeah, so this one seems it says 45 to 90, and that feels a little long to me. So I'm intrigued, but I'm assuming the 45 to 60. So it seems a little bit long there. But I'd heard really good things about this game, and then it was tough finding the booth. And it turns we were like working Dice Tower, and it was like just opposite facing us. Like it was kind of ridiculous.
It was right
so
there.
cool, Mythic Mischief. I got a copy of Sniper Elite. Yeah, you want to put them on the floor next to you? Is that an issue?
Sure.
If it's an issue, let me know.
Nope.
I did push these up there and then tell you to do the others. So.
Well, here, give me those.
Okay. All right, Sniper Elite is a game by David Thompson. This is a hidden movement game. So one person is playing the sniper, the other people are playing the defenders, trying to get in, complete their mission, get out. The defenders are trying to keep them from doing that. It's got miniatures and the whole works. I said I wouldn't open all these up, and then I'm opening them up. But I was just going to show, like, it's got storage, too. That was nice. It's got the minis and everything. The components are held here. So I think I can try this solo. I think I've heard that the solo rules are David Turchi, who makes a lot of solo games. So I think that's a solid solo rule set. So I think this is one I'll get on the channel solo. And then if I enjoy it, can play it from there. I know this is something Mike at the store would really like to play. So I might be able to get a chance to play that with him. But yeah, I heard really good things about this. This is Rebellion Unplugged. And they were like, hey, you want a copy? Here you go. So that was awesome. Like, nice. Go for it. Play it. You want to talk about this?
Sure.
You could open it if you want.
I will. We played this one.
Yep.
We played Silas's deluxe version, which was really, really nice. But I love the art on this. That's probably one of my favorite things about it, but I also found it really fun.
It's Flamecraft if people can't read it.
Oh, yeah, I didn't say it. But it actually comes with a mat. What's it called?
Playmat.
A playmat.
Mm-hmm.
And little dragons, and they're really cute.
The retail version has just meeple dragons. The other version had like
standees.
The bigger version was nice, but this version is still really nice. And in some sense, I'm happy to show off the retail version since the channel is associated with the portal, and this is what's going to come in.
Right.
They're actually willing to get us a review copy, but there's no copies of this game left. They're waiting for it to reprint and come back out. So that's the issue. We actually can't even get it in the store, even though it had a retail run, because it's been so popular.
Yeah. I found it really fun. And I think this is one that Zephyr will play with us, which was appealing to me because it's so cute and it's dragons.
It's very accessible. It's not like a simple game. It's not short and simple.
I mean, we played it, the four of us adults, and it was fun.
45 minutes, maybe an hour.
Will play with us,
maybe an hour in a convention setting, right? So it's nice and straightforward with good strategy. You're placing them out there, and then they flame everything up.
That is Flamecraft.
Nice. And that is Cardboard Alchemy and Lucky Duck Games. Are they studios? I think they're Lucky Duck Games. Well, this one I'm excited about. I'm excited to play the game for sure. I got a chance to demo it. Oros, again, also from Lucky Duck Games, and they did provide us with this copy, which is awesome because this is one of the few copies they have. And when I talked to Bree over there, she was nice enough to get us a copy and says, because this is designed by Brandt Brinkerhoff. Now, it wasn't as simple as just because we have the same name. Hopefully, we're going to do an interview. Brandt interviews Brandt. And so getting a chance to play the game before I do the interview was part of the idea. But I have never met another Brandt with my name, and that is the exact same spelling as my name. That's so the game is cool. It's like you're on an island and you're trying to get all these pieces to crash together to make volcanoes and then build your temples on them and claim victory points. And there's a whole upgrade your actions, which is really cool. So your actions start with, like, you can slide one tile, one space, but you can upgrade it so you can, like, slide tiles multiple spaces and everything. And you're upgrading your board and everything. And I said I wouldn't open all the boxes, so I'm trying to stick to that. But this is Oros from Lucky Duck Games. That one I'll take a little bit longer to get on the channel because it's not releasing until, like, I'm going to get it wrong. It might release in January, but I think it's February when it's releasing. So, be there. What do you got?
I got Boop.
Boop.
This game looks silly, but it was much more strategic than you would think.
Yeah, you got a chance to play. I still haven't had a chance to play this.
I know.
Larry played this when Kurt was playtesting it.
Oh, okay.
Like last year.
Gotcha.
I mean, it was pretty but you know what I mean, in its final stages.
He was Larry was very excited to play this, so we played it a couple times actually. A very thinky game for two clever cats. I am opening it because this is...
It's fine. And sorry, I just want to say, this is Kurt Covert. This is Smirk and Laughter Games, and they are in Connecticut. And Kurt's awesome. He's super awesome. Nice. So he gave us a copy, like, without... Yeah.
So there's this, like, foam quilt, and this is a bed, and it's 2-player. You have kittens, and you have cats.
Kittens and cats.
And they're the 2 different colors, which are actually the 2 cats we have. We have a gray cat, and we have an orange and white cat. So this is fun because these are our cats.
We will try to get them on stream.
And you're placing them on here and trying to get 3 in a row, but then you can push other cats off. Boop. And yeah.
It's interesting because you start with like 8 kittens.
You start with kittens,
and then you have
to combine them
to make cats. And then you have to get 3 cats in a row.
And then you need 3 cats.
But getting things in a row, you can't do because as soon as you place them next to them, they boop the other ones over.
Yes.
So you have to get 2 that then can't be pushed, but then people are blocking you and purposely trying to boop your cats, right?
Right, and you can boop the cats off the bed too. So
that's awesome.
It's fun.
Yeah, so it's an abstract game, but it brings out that.
And you think it's going to be simple, and then all of a sudden you're playing it, and you're like, oh, this is way more thinky than you.
And they had a cat at the booth.
They did.
It was amazing.
I don't know who it's by. You said it already?
Smirk and Laughter? Yeah, it's Scott Brady. This is Smirk and Laughter. It's Smirk and Dagger, Smirk and Laughter. Kurt has made it like an imprint of Smirk and Laughter.
Got it.
Because not all the games are stab you in the back anymore. Although this kind of is, right? But like in 2-player, it's different.
And this box has been through a lot. I think it got rained on.
Nice. Cool. And I'm really excited to try Tesseract there. And Kurt actually showed me the next project that they're doing too. So that looks like it's going to be really exciting. All right, I'm going to try it. Orichalcum. Orichalcum. So I didn't actually realize, we went over to Pandasaurus. I was looking for the wolves. They had this one, and I remembered this one as well. And we had a pretty quick conversation with Raina over there, relatively speaking. So she also gave us a copy of this, which is a Bruno Cathala game, and very famous, but also Johannes Guppy, who I'm not as familiar with. Bruno is much more prolific for sure, but whatever. So they designed this game. I don't know. I've opened it up. It seems to be, is that Roman? Greek?
I don't know.
Something, so I don't know which one of those that is. Oracle makes me think, right, that's going to be. So if that's where that's coming from, but I guess it's not really Oracle. So I don't know a lot about this game, but I saw the designer there, so we'll check this out. It says it's 2 to 4 players, 45 minutes. Possibly a tile-laying game? No.
Nope.
Maybe? I don't know. I guess you are placing some tiles here. So we got it, and we'll figure it out.
We'll find out and let you know.
And this has an exclusive first-player token in it, so there you go. That's all we know. Oh, do you want to talk about this one?
Oh, we were just walking down the aisle, and a man from a
Faustino.
booth, yes, saw our badges, media badges, and he was like, I have a game for you. This is his first game that he's ever designed. It's called Politica Mexicana, and I think you're trying to become a political leader in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So the instructions are newly in English.
Yeah, this box, so it was wrapped with English instructions and a back on it, and then I undid this back, so this is all in Spanish.
Right. So then the English is there. So we will certainly, he said, be kind. He was so nice to talk to.
So there's some keys to this. First, I think it's awesome that there's a game like coming out of Mexico. I think that's a big part. I don't know. He may be American based, although this was printed in Mexico, so I'm assuming. I think this is from 2012. So he's obviously, he's designed a game but he has another game that's going up on Kickstarter. Once I can remember what that one was called. And then he has like another game in the works. So again, it's kind of highlighting publishers, like that whole area, right? And the fact he wants us to do this. And this is part of what we want to do. Like, sure, I want some of the bigger name games and whatever they are and, whatever it is. But part of walking through there and part of people going to a channel is to discover some games that, are a little bit different. And there's definitely people who maybe have a Mexican background or political Mexican background that would want to know about a game like this. Or
anybody. Like, we'll try it and it might be really fun.
So we'll try that one out. He was really nice.
Yeah.
All right, I got one more over here, then we'll pull from that side. This is The Wolves. So this is a new game from Pandasaurus Games. I had seen this. I saw this at the Hex & Co. shop I went to in New York City. And I heard a bunch about this. And it seemed interesting because it's like you have asymmetric wolf powers and all these kind of things. Some guys we're hanging out with were talking about this and saying this is one of their favorite games. They said you got to be comfortable with area control. And I was like, oh no. I can really struggle with area control sometimes. But they were talking it up a whole bunch, so I definitely really wanted to try it. I heard other people talking about it. It was definitely one of the kind of like hits of the show. And so Pandasaurus was nice enough to give us a copy. So even with my hesitancy, I'm excited to try it. Sometimes even knowing like, oh, there's this mechanism that you don't always like in games, but sometimes you go, oh, that wasn't an example of what I don't like, right? So being able to try stuff, and of course that's more of what I'm trying to do is try games, like even if I'm not predisposed to like everything that goes with them there.
Here, you should talk about One Deck Galaxy.
Cool. So
We're very excited.
One Deck Dungeon is a game I absolutely adore. This is for 1 to 2 players. A lot of people play this game solo. One Deck Dungeon has an app. I feel like you've played One Deck Dungeon with me, but you weren't. This is like my dice rolling game right here. So each character gets like 10 dice, and then you upgrade to get more and more dice, and you roll them all, and then it's like you want 5s and 6s, but you manipulate your dice, and they're in different colors to be able to like complete tasks or defeat enemies. I was just learning this game. Kathy was doing some work over at our church, and I was sitting learning to play this. And this has actually a lot of changes from One Deck Dungeon. So I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't just open it up and start streaming and go, how does this work? This is different, So it's kind of neat, and it's got 5 different... I'm not going fully in, but it's a very much a card and dice game, and you get like 5 different characters. It's space themed, but I feel like artwork-wise, it's kind of like fantasy space.
I would totally
try
this.
This might be something we'll try, or this is an easy 2-streamer. It has mathematicians, so in this one you actually pick 2 things. So you get like a faction or race, and then you get like a type. You put those 2 together, and you're trying to get all these upgrades, and you just roll buckets of dice to try to defeat things. It's all dice manipulation, but in really fun ways. So it is what Jeff Engelstein would call randomness input. So you roll the dice, get your random numbers, and then you manipulate them from there. Not you make all your choices and then roll the dice and see what happens. Jeff is going to be on Eric's and Tom's podcast tomorrow, so people can check that out at the table.
Excellent.
Like in there. Yeah, well, let's do that. We'll do Kapow last.
Okay. I don't know what this is. I've never seen it.
I don't think you know much about these. I think you know some about that.
A little bit about that, yeah.
All right, 3 Dragon Ante. So WizKids is always great about sending me games. In fact, they were going to give us a copy of Onslaught, but they were using a whole bunch of them for demo, and they said, hey, 5 o'clock, you can take them. And I was like, I can't. But they've been great about sending me games. You've seen a lot of WizKids games on the channel. And they sent me the expansion to 3 Dragon Ante.
Oh.
So when I talked to Emily there, and Will, I got a chance to talk to both of them, she was like, oh, let me give you a copy of 3 Dragon Ante, because we don't actually have a copy in the store for sale. I would have been fine with buying something like this to play the other one. But I believe 3 Dragon Ante, this is where I'm going to show my lack of D&D knowledge. But I'm pretty sure it's like the card game that runs through the world of D&D, right? So it's like I'm going to call it the poker of that world, not that it's poker. So I think they made a game out of this, and then we got the expansion so we can get some of this played. I don't know what I'll end up doing this. I don't know if I'll stream this or maybe kind of do a video where I run down, like, here's this, and here's, maybe some WizKids stuff, because I might throw in the pinball and stuff like that in there. Might make more sense than trying to it's hard to get live plays of every game on the channel and get the people. And then I imagine this is something that's going to want 3, 4, 5 people. It probably plays it 2. I mean, it says 2 to 6, which makes me think 2 isn't really where you want to show off the game. So that is that, but that was awesome. They showed that. this free thing we got, I thought this was like a game, but I think it's just dice. But these are rogue dice, so you get all these items that a rogue would carry. So it's like a rogue's pouch, and that's a D10 that you can roll. And it's a rogue's dagger, and that's a D4 that you can roll. And it's a rogue arrow.
Interesting.
And this is a barrel, which I think is a D20, so I can roll the barrel, and then I get the number that's on there. They're a little hard to read. That one might be a D12. This looks like a poison bottle and a gem.
That's cool.
So they sell them with different things, but we each got a bag, and we both got the rogue. So I don't know if there were others.
Oh, I don't know.
It would have been neat to see a wizard or something else to be able to show off. But anyway, since they gave this to us, I'll show it. It's called Poly Hero Dice, or Poly Dice Hero. I don't know which order that it's in. So you can check those out if you're looking for kind of just like a unique thing. Or this actually feels like a cool stocking stuffer. You were talking about stocking stuffers, and this is a cool one for somebody that plays D&D and whatnot. And lastly, we'll talk about Kapow! So Kapow is designed by Doug and Larry and Carl, and they all live in Connecticut, and they are all friends, and we hung out with them at the convention. I went over to Wise Wizards, so they have a company called Two Ton Porcupine. They published Kapow. It came out. It crowdfunded. And then Wise Wizard wanted to pick it up, so you'll see Rob Doherty, who's the owner of Wise Wizard. He tacked on here because I think he made a solo and co-op mode for the game. Mm-hmm. I did find out that the co-op requires 2 boxes, so I only have 1 box. So if I could show that off at some point, I'll have to wait till somebody gets their copy. But this was picked up by Wise Wizard, who makes Star Realms, Hero Realms, all those. Talked to Derek over there, Derek Funkhauser, who has a great last name. And he gave us a copy of this, which was awesome. And this is a dice... I am going to show this. Yeah. This is a dice building combat game. So these are your reference boards. And then...
Are these also screens?
And they're player screens. Yeah. I think these might be the screens that you put up. No, those are probably screens. Oh, I think it's like that, and then this lays in front of you.
Got it.
Show it like that. And so then this gives you your reference of everything you do. What you do, though, is you like design everything you want in a turn, and then you lift all this stuff away.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like roll on this and everything.
Sure.
It's somehow how that works. I might be a little off because there's these ones as well, these boards, and it looks a little bit different from the original production. We had the game at the store, but I don't have a personal copy. But anyway, the key part to the game is it is a dice building game. So kind of like they added to Roll for the Galaxy and Dice Realms that we played more recently. But they had done this earlier. So you have these die faces and these blank dice, and you build the dice as you go, and you make decisions. It's been a while now. It's been since like 2018 when they had it published originally that I played it. So bear with me, maybe 2019. But these die faces will go on here, and then you can adjust them so you can be more defensive, and you're attacking the other person to try to defeat them. And then there are different heroes and villains with different powers on all of them. So, and then they added a solo mode in here, like I said. So you've got the hero and the villain board. I haven't looked through, and admittedly, it's just hard for me to remember the changes. And they've got a little tool here for removing the die faces and whatnot. But yeah, no, really excited to see their game kind of mainstream out there, and just to get eyes on it and get plays with people beyond what they did. Because, their crowdfunding produced whatever number of copies, 1,000, 2,000 copies. But now Wise Wizard has, made much more than that, and they'll be able to help publicize it for them. So
it looks fun.
That should be really neat. So that is Kapow. I highly recommend this game. Not only am I friends with them, but it's really fun. And that's it. It's in that spirit, right? It's that spirit of building your dice and rolling them and making those choices more than like, oh, this is so strategic I can win by like constructing something. It's more the joy of trying the different powers and whatnot. And that's everything. You can leave it up there. That is PAX Unplugged. We didn't go an hour. No. It wasn't too bad. I'll give my final thoughts on the convention. If anybody has questions, we can answer those too. I really like PAX Unplugged. I always say I love it because you're with me, which is so true. But I just like having you there. The game of the convention was Frosthaven.
Yeah.
Which we brought with us.
Which we already had.
But, like, I don't know how to say it, but just replaying Frosthaven, I just remember how much 4 players and teaching people and being a little slower, but honestly, even slow, I was like, people, it was still so fun. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know what it is about that game. Frosthaven is just objectively better than Gloomhaven. It's just cleaned up. It's just better. There's just other things to do. We're going to go do our Outpost phase, and then we're going to probably play one more before we play on Thursday live, so we'll be a little bit into it, but I don't think the spoilers are that big a deal in that game. Like, really. You know, it's figure it out.
If we were opening a new character or something, agreed. But a scenario isn't
anything
early
on. Yeah. Totally agree. So it's a big box. I actually watched somebody today. They were saying, but like, it's a big box of content. It's not a big box of fluff. Right. So it's hard to tell people, like, at a $250 price tag, like, is this game for you? It's like, that's where you've got to watch content. That's where you've got to engage. Honestly, I think if you don't have Gloomhaven and you don't have Jaws of the Lion and you're wondering about Frosthaven, Jaws of the Lion is the place to go. Sure. Like, you can get in at $50 or less,
and then decide, like, if you love it or not.
So yeah,
it's really a great mechanical system.
But PAX Unplugged is great. I think the security is a little... Not that I don't want them to have security, but, like, you're just constantly walking in and out of it, and it's
just
a little frustrating.
Time, though. This was the only time it was like...
Well, there was that one year where we were, like, backed up constantly. There's been a couple of things. And then the wristband is fine because they want you to be vaccinated, which is, again, it's fine. But then you have this, like, tassel, which we finally realized, because we talked about cutting the band off and just getting a new one every day. We finally cut the tassels off day 3, and it was like, so that was the key. Just cut that piece off. So, yeah, I think that's going to be a big difference with Frosthaven. So Brombe is saying that he doesn't always get into the story in Gloomhaven. I still felt like the story was rather present, but you definitely feel the writing differential.
It's different in Frosthaven.
It's stronger. And to not spoil, I think you're going to have a connection to the town. I think Gloomhaven feels like a town... I think Gloomhaven feels like a town you're passing through, and Gloomhaven is supposed to give you this, like, gloom idea, but you don't feel a connection to the town. But in Frosthaven, the town feels like a character.
Like, and you start, like, they have named, like...
people.
Like, we met a person already, and I think we're going to start to have connections to other people in the town also.
Right. I think there's certainly... games that are more story-based that people are going to get more invested on that front. But I don't know that you're going to find a game that has so much story and so much mechanics.
Yes.
Like, it's incredible. It really is incredible. And you can see the difference. I mean, if you go to Gloomhaven, there were certainly a lot of people that worked on Gloomhaven, but it was like Isaac and somebody else, and then a whole bunch of help that he got. But this is a full-on team. I mean, there's 30-something people that worked on the game.
Yeah.
So it's a huge difference. And I know that is something that Isaac has talked about a lot. And even with Jaws of the Lion, it was the same way. Like he wants to make sure his team gets so much credit on it. Like, he's like, it's not me anymore. Like, people give me all the credit, but he's like, but there's so many people. So I think that's awesome. A big...
yeah, Gloomhaven is just where I buy items.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but I think you'll find different in Frosthaven.
I think so too.
I don't think that's a spoiler. Like, that's just part of it.
Not.
There's an outpost phase there. So, but I really like PAX Unplugged. It's a little too short for me, and that sounds funny when we're tired and everything. I'd prefer to be there a little earlier on Thursday. I don't necessarily mind leaving on Sunday. It's a weird thing, because if you stay to the end, then you're home way too late, and it's exhausting. If you leave early, then you feel like you're missing out on some things, and whatnot for me. So,
I was ready to go.
Yeah, no, and I could get that, but I could find a little bit more there. So, but I really like it. I think it's one of the better conventions. I think ultimately the best conventions really are just where you play games. So, like, we have Con here in the state. Like, Dice Tower East to me is the ultimate, because you get that Dice Tower library where they got all those games. They've got the new games out there. That's really kind of my favorite of anything. Even like a Con of Heroes for Marvel Champions, because just getting to play. But
what about VonorCon?
VonorCon is pretty cool. If anybody wants to come, it's at our house. Yeah, we actually haven't beaten Gloomhaven. We've played 70 something missions, and we got stuck on one. And then we played Jaws of the Lion pretty far with our daughter,
Yeah,
but she definitely is dragging and kicking her way through it. It's not her favorite.
Well, it's also dark.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's gloomy.
Jaws of the Lion is even darker than Gloomhaven.
It is. It is. That's true. In a weird way.
So we stopped even reading the story
it was tough
with our daughter in Jaws of the Lion. The setup.
Yeah, that seems to be a huge thing for people. I almost solely put Frosthaven away. I'm not saying people weren't willing to help, but people were like doing their characters. You were reading a story.
Yeah.
It wasn't short. Like, it was 20 minutes, but
there's trays in Frosthaven.
It's way better
that
for that.
That makes a huge difference.
Right, even without going and spending
the
80, 100, 50, I don't know what the inserts are. They're going to send those to us, so then we could be able to see. But you built that insert for Gloomhaven. I've talked about that a bunch, and that has massively cut down the time. Like, I'm setting up Gloomhaven in 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think we would have played it nearly as much if we couldn't just take out all of the, like, what are those called? Those tokens. There's a word. Anyway.
Sorry.
If we couldn't just take the tray out and take tokens out of it. Yeah. If we had to, like, bag them up individually every time.
Yeah, no, it's just the two trays. Yeah, just the two trays that they made make a huge difference. Here's all the terrain. Here's all the tokens you need. Boom, put that thing on the board. And honestly, like, I ran all of those characters with the 4 people and them trying to learn. But a 4-player game, it could be like, you're in charge of damage.
Sure.
You're in charge of flipping those cards. You're in charge of initiative tokens. I'm in charge of this over here. Yeah, and movement on the board. Like, and then you'd be divvying that up, and that wouldn't be bad during the game. But again, some people are going to like the apps. I don't like using the apps. I like using the physical stuff. Finding all the characters is a pain, which is where I think the insert they're going to send us would be really nice. If we get that, we can sort all the characters in there and then be able to find them. So that kind of stuff. But it's certainly true. If you live in a spot, like, we have cats. So we cannot leave these games out, you know. Right. So we can do basement, we can do here in the attic. Or, you know, it's just setting it up every time. I think a big part of the reason that we played so much Gloomhaven is because we played it and we didn't have a 4-player group where we had to travel with it somewhere.
Yeah. And
so that's been huge. But I've said that about so many campaign and legacy games. That basically, unless I have one other person, I can play it at 2-player committed. And then if people want to rotate in and out, like, oh, you want to join us tonight? Go for it. You can tack in.
Yeah, because we played 0 with 2 of us. And then we played Scenario 1 with 4 people. And we'll be doing Scenario 2 tomorrow with 2 of us again.
With the 2 of us, right, exactly.
And it's fine.
Yep, so everybody's mileage is going to vary. Frosthaven is a weird recommend for people who have spent some significant time with Gloomhaven and haven't finished it.
Yeah.
And it's like, why am I buying this, right? It's that kind of thing. So it would have to be, you want to set Gloomhaven aside. Maybe you're now going to play that solo because your group has, disappeared. And you're just like, I'm going to play Gloomhaven, but I'm going to start over with another group, or it is a better version.
Right.
So you're going to get a better experience from the Frosthaven box. Just weird to say when it's like rated number 1 on BGG. Like, you're gonna get a better experience than the number 1 game, and I'm just saying it right off the rip.
They improved
but
it.
Yeah, but it's just so anyway. But yeah, it's a weird game on that front. Like, you've got to just decide, right? You're committed. You're in. That's where it is. Like, Marvel Champions at this point, they print something, I buy it. I don't think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's just I like it so much. So it was the same with Frosthaven. Let's go. We set Gloomhaven aside. And maybe we'll come back to finish that one up because we're not really that far.
I know, we're very close.
And you can adjust the difficulty. I think that's huge. Like, you can play it, and just go, oh my gosh, because we're probably playing on like level 3, maybe level 4 with our characters. And we just bounce down to 0 to beat one, and move on. Yeah, she's not as big a fan of that. But we could do that to get through some of them if we wanted to see kind of the end of the story. Because at that point, you want to see the end of the story. You know?
But this isn't a Frosthaven.
This is not a Frosthaven episode. Yeah. But that'd be my game. I really liked Revive. It was the game that I think Kathy and Larry were not big fans of. Silas kept talking about it and saying how he really wanted to play it again. So we were big fans. I don't know the publisher on that. I know it was at Essen. The theme is weird because if I explain the theme of the game and you go, oh, that's a cool theme, it wasn't present.
It had nothing to do with, you couldn't, it was an undetectable theme.
But kind of like a Gaia project or a Terra Mystica that has theme because it has characters and like one's in space and one's fantasy character, but like they're building buildings and interacting. This was like post-apocalyptic, and you are exploring the world, coming out of your like hiding hole, and then you're like competing over the few towns that still survive and flipping the layout. But like none of that's what you're doing. You're spending action points to play cards, to get resources, to put people out on the board, to upgrade and travel farther, or to get buildings, to get bonuses, to upgrade around these tracks on your board.
It's okay.
And I loved it. That would be my favorite non-Frosthaven game of the con. So I think Larry's would be that hero game that we got. So check that out. What did you enjoy? I was going to put words in your mouth.
What?
Flamecraft?
Yeah. I mean, and Frosthaven.
Right. Yeah. There's that. Yeah, see, I love that I know it's not a Frosthaven thing, but I love for you to say it. Because I think sometimes people can think like, oh, I'm saying for you that you like Gloomhaven and Frosthaven, but I am not.
That's okay.
And you don't like Marvel Champions.
No, I don't.
See, now you just lost everybody on the channel, because that's like many people are here for Marvel Champions.
That's fine. You all can play Marvel Champions.
She loves the Marvel movies.
That's true.
And shows, but the game doesn't work so well. Or Kathy. All right, I think that's it for us. We're going to go get warmer.
It's true.
And whatnot. So thanks, everybody. That's PAX Unplugged 2022. And you'll see these games coming up. I made a little schedule, and I'm playing most days this week, I think. I'll play one of these games. But there's some things... I think there's some things I might end up playing solo, even though I like that Sniper Elite. Even though I want to play it with more people, I might just play it solo to get it on the channel and then see where it goes from there. And you know, if something that really takes off that I could do from the store, then I'll do that. So that is that. Thanks everybody for watching. Afterward, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. If these games look of interest to you and you want to find out when we're playing them, then subscribe to the channel. Come back Thursday for our Frosthaven live play. That should be really fun. But until next time, I'm the Brandt.
And I'm Kathy.
And we hope you step into the portal. Which way should I point? Step into the portal.